Hello everyone, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. I know I haven't uploaded in a while, but most of the people watching this video have not seen me before. But in today's video, I'm going to be reading Hunter x Hunter, Hunter x Hunter, whatever you want to call it, for 7 days. Alright, and I'm just going to take you through how I got here. So Gon is a little boy who just wants to be a hunter. He's like guys, hunters are like guys with superior rank and freedom in the world, but he catches a massive fish, so his mom lets him enter the hunter exams. Now, the hunter exam is supposed to be like super dangerous, and he does some little secret trials with his friend Leorio and Kurapika. But when they finally enter the actual exam hall, the first task is to just run for ages. And then they run for like 80 kilometers, and then they meet a boy the same age as Gon called Killua, and then they enter a massive, dangerous looking swampland, and then a man comes out screaming that the examiner is an imposter, but then the merciless magician Hisoka kills the guy, and in order to prove the point that the examiner isn't an imposter. So the second part of the first phase, is a marathon across the swamp. Hisoka, which is our crazy clown, stops all of them, and now they lost the examiner. Then he challenges them all of them to a fight for some reason, and then starts slashing them like with his like fingers or whatever technique he uses. And then Hisoka acts really weird, like he's this guy's like pedo level weird, and then he just leaves. He literally just disappears. Now, for the second phase of the hunter exam, they cook a series of meals to satisfy the examiners. The examiner gets so pissed about how the cooking is, so she just gives them all a fail. Then they redo the phase of the exam differently so they have a chance because they can't make everyone fail. They complete all of that shit, and then we get to the bottom and we see a taste of Killua's bloodthirsty identity, being taught how to act despite being taught how to act innocent. Then they start phase 3. They have to make it to the bottom of a large platform, and they have to go into a group to find their way down and vote on what challenges to take. And this Tonpa guy is really getting on my nerves because he's so weak, and for some reason he doesn't even make me angry. He's just like a really annoying guy. Anyway, Kurapika 1v1's a guy with a Phantom Troop mark, basically his worst enemy, and he just destroys him. He just actually destroys him. And it cuts to Hisoka fighting some off-brand Zoro with some Force-style sword, and he just cuts his head off and completes phase 3. Now it's chapter 20. I decide to go to sleep for the day on phase 3 of the Hunter exam. Right, so it's day 2. Killua is supposedly this like strong guy, right? And he rips out the serial killer his heart out, and damn, it's just really awesome. Like Killua seems really cool. And they finally make it to the bottom of the platform after some teamwork, and then they begin the fourth phase where they hunt each other. Gon is matched with Hisoka, so he has to steal Hisoka's like badge or whatever you want to call it. And now they are trapped on an island for a week where they have to steal the badges of each other for points. Gon manages to steal Hisoka's badge with a fishing rod. However, Gon is pursued by Hisoka's target, so Hisoka proceeds to behead his target and lets Gon go out of plot armor. And then the fifth phase begins. And they are asked who they want to fight the most and the least for some to sort teams, and then they enter a tournament where you can't kill your opponent. So Gon fights someone way stronger than him. Gon is ready to die no matter what. So he says he'll never surrender the match, and the guy can't amputate him because then he will bleed to death and be disqualified. So his opponent just gives up. And Gon wins the match and is given his hunter license, which I was pretty shocked because he's already got his hunter badge. Because I thought it'd take much longer, like the Naruto Chunin exams. But then Gon is told that Killua was disqualified when he wakes up from his sleep because his brother was secretly in the exam and forced him to quit. They all receive hunter licenses and told about all the benefits that you get. They ask Killua's brother where Killua went to, and he says his home on Kukuru Mountain. They manage to find their way to Killua's mansion and meet some of his family, and they seem like evil assassins, but also like normal people, you know. Killua has a talk with his dad, who actually seems pretty chill. And his dad says to go to his friends. His dad, yeah, his dad lets Killua go with Gon. And then at chapter 44, stop reading for the day. It's day 3. Now, Kurapika, Leorio, Killua, and Gon, they all agree to meet up in 6 months at the grand auction at Yorknew, where Hisoka is supposed to show up. They all split up except for Gon and Killua. Gon and Killua arrive at a big fighting tower where you fight to earn money, and a man who can teach them how to use the power of Nen. Basically, like, it's just about how you use your aura to fight. I can't be asked to explain it properly. And after he learns Nen, he challenges Hisoka to a proper 1v1. And Hisoka doesn't like pedo shit like he always does. And then he smokes Gon. Even though Gon learns a lot. They leave the tower because he earns a ton of money. They go home for a bit and he sees a message from his father, Ging. And then they're off to find a video game made by Nen users called Greed Island, which only hunters can play. But it's extremely rare and is being sold at the Yorknew auction. The Yorknew auction begins and they all meet up with the power of Nen unlocked. Meanwhile, there is a group of thieves planning to steal the most expensive items at the auction, and that they'll kill anyone who gets in their way. The auction starts in one room, and these mysterious robbers kill off the whole room of guys and steal everything and show how ruthless they are. We see Kurapika has done some goofy kind of binding vow where he's given a power of chains, and these chains can like restrict people with Nen. Anyways, long story short, the guy breaks out, and now his quest is to kill Kurapika because Kurapika fights a member of the Phantom Troop, and then he tries to like bind him, but then the guy escapes. And just for future reference, his name is Uvogin. Uvogin, I think. I don't know. Kurapika meets up with Hisoka, who has recently joined the Phantom Troop, or I'm not really sure how to pronounce Phantom Troop. I'm just gonna say that, alright. The Phantom Troop are Kurapika's sworn enemy, because they killed his clan. But Hisoka agrees to help him as he gives him valuable information. Kurapika he 1v1s Uvogin one more time, and then he just destroys him, and he kills him. And we learn a lot about Kurapika's Scarlet Eyes that can make him use 100% of every type of Nen. Ryo, Ten, I don't know all the names, but you know, they're all just like forms of aura. While meanwhile, Gon and Killua are spying on 2 members of the Phantom Troop, but then they get caught and are brought to the Phantom Troop hideout. And all of the Phantom Troop want to know where Kurapika is, though they call him Chain Dude. That's just what they call him. What we learn for an incredible feat is that it's an incredible feat for him to kill a member of the Phantom Troop. Gon and Killua escape the hideout under the watch of one member, Nobunga, and go look for Kurapika to find out more about Nen, because they are quite weak in this point of time. Meanwhile, the Phantom Troop begin a massive raid on the Yorknew auction and are killing the whole Mafia. I thought the Mafia would have some like Nen users, but they're just kind of weak. But what they do have is money. And now Killua's dad is fighting Chrollo, which is the leader of the Phantom Troop. And Chrollo supposedly loses. But Killua's dad, by the way, guys, he's fighting with someone else. Like he's not alone. And most of the Phantom Troop appears to be dead, even though they are all still alive. Kurapika buys a pair of the Scarlet Eyes off one of the auctions, and Killua and Gon reunite with Leorio. They all decide what they're going to catch another member of the Phantom Troop, and though the Phantom Troop know that Kurapika is after them, so yeah, they're not really sure what to do. Anyways, day 3 ends on chapter 115. Day 4. We're more than halfway now. They did a Grandmaster plan, which I'm not going to explain, But basically, they manage to capture Chrollo as a hostage. But Kurapika does a binding vow with Chrollo so that he can no longer use Nen. And if he does, then he dies. But unless he finds like some kind of evil sorcerer, then their business with the Phantom Troop, we believe, is concluded. Now, Gon and Killua finally devote their time to buying Greed Island, an expensive game exclusively for hunters. Well, it turns out Gon and Killua have nowhere near enough money to buy Greed Island, so they just let themselves get hired by the guy who owns it. Killua unlocks his power to manifest his aura with electricity, and Gon gets a power too, which isn't actually revealed yet. Now, Gon and Killua enter the game Greed Island with a bunch of other hired hunters. They learn about the basics and mechanics of the game. Basically, you get cards and you use like themes, use themes and like cards and spells and shit. Use spells basically, and you got to collect all the cards which have abilities to finish the game, which is basically like really hard. And the Phantom Troop members reveal that it's not actually a game; it's literally just the real world. And they find a teacher in the wild, a woman who's 57 years old, who appears to be young, but she just looks like a little girl, and her name is Biscuit. But do not be mistaken, she's very strong. Gon and Killua do some intensive training, which is always fun to read, and it cuts to some guys who just eliminated a whole team of collectors by blowing them up, and they do it in a really cruel way. Like they just look like some evil guys, and these guys are the main villains, main boss of Greed Island. Killua leaves the game to complete the Hunter exam, since it's that time of year again. Yes, that much time has passed, and Gon continues his training until he returns. Killua solos the whole Hunter exam and returns like it's nothing. Then Gon realizes through a spell that he used that he passes Chrollo, the leader of the Phantom Troop, in the game. And his Nen has returned. Because if you're in Greed Island, then you have to have Nen, right? But then it's revealed by the Phantom Troop that Chrollo's Nen still is actually sealed, but he went to the real life location of Greed Island in search of someone to free his Nen without knowing he was still on Greed Island. And Gon and Killua team up with a party of 15 players to stop the number one team, who were extremely close to beating the game. Then, on their quest to stop that, they run into one of the creators of Greed Island. And I think I forgot his name, but he's just like really strong. That's what I'm going to say. And without knowing it's him, they just fight his lackeys. Then they gather information from. Then they just leave. Then they find Hisoka in the game, who's actually neutral and decides to help them out of boredom. Then they return to the creator of Greed Island, where Gon is told the truth that the game is real life. And Gon's team versus the creator's team in a volleyball game. For some reason, they just decide to fight in volleyball because, kind of plot armor, because they know they'd get smoked in a real fight. And then for sheer effort, for teamwork, they all really epically beat, the guy in a game of baseball. Obviously not in combat, but in volleyball. Hisoka leaves and goes back to the troop while Gon fights, like, basically his main enemy during Greed Island, and then he just beats him with his special ability, Jarken Rock, which is based off Rock, Paper, Scissors. It's an amazing move. Um, yeah. But then, now Gon and Killua have completed Greed Island, and their reward is 3 cards, which they can use outside of the game. Then he also reunites with Kite, which is a hunter that Gon has met when he was a child. And he's just like his kind of mentor, but like he didn't really train him how to be a hunter. But he just taught him important stuff. And then I decided to go to sleep for the night on chapter 185. Day 5. They are still with Kite, and they help him as a hunter. Gon met. Oh shit, my bad. Anyways, Kite's job is to discover new species of animals, and they find the leg of a mysterious species called a chimera ant. The Chimera Ant is trying to become stronger, but there are humans in their way with technology to fight back with. Now, Gon, Killua, and Kite have to find the queen of the Chimera Ant army, and they have to crash their way through armies of insects on their way. Gon and Killua encounter one of the Chimera Ant King's royal guards, and they encounter some new incomprehensible strength, and Kite loses his arm because Gon and Killua were holding him back. So Kite tells them just to leave and let him buy them time, but then some of the hunter examiners show up, some of the strongest ninjas in the world, show up to go help Kite and destroy the Chimera Ant army before they form a king. Now, Gon and Killua have 2 weeks to train before they go back to fight. And I stopped reading there on the night of day 5 on chapter 204. And now it's day 6. During Gon's training, he has to fight his trainer of some sort if he wants to go save Kai. And the guy's called Knuckle. He's like a punk, he's one of those guys. But he's the anime stereotype. And Gon loses the ability to use Nen for a whole month because of Knuckles' ability, which I can't be asked to explain. But Killua manages to become 3 with his Nen by removing something his brother put inside of him. Then Killua removes it and becomes much stronger, and kind of removes its limiter. And the others rescue Kite, the other hunters, but Kite isn't the same. He's all messed up and he can't talk. But then they just cut to the Phantom Troop, killing a sub-Chimera Ant colony. But none of them are particularly strong. The Chimera Ant King has taken over the country, and it's the hunter's job to stop him. But the king is unimaginably strong, basically imagine Sukuna. But so yeah, I stopped reading on chapter 234. Day 7. The hunters are beginning to infiltrate the palace where the Chimera Ant King has taken over, and he's been playing a board game with a master of Gungi. Gungi's some old board game, and he just can't seem to beat her. And while he's distracted with this board game, the hunters are about to enter the palace. And I stopped reading Hunter x Hunter on chapter 251. Thank you for watching. I mean, it's actually amazing if you got this far in the video. It'd be really helpful if you could just subscribe. It doesn't take you a lot. And yeah, see ya.